Hey guys, this is Vidukant, and if you're watching this video, you have probably heard about this technique called Pomodoro. It's like a productivity technique where you work for like 25 minutes and then get a rest for 5 minutes. It's supposed to boost your productivity. There are a lot of Pomodoro timers for Linux. I haven't tried many of them, but I wanted to build one of my own, so I'm gonna showcase it. So it's called Polydoro. It's Pomodoro timer for polybar. So it's written in Rust, which is like the most popular programming language right now. And it's also open source. It's licensed with GNU GPL v3 license. So there is a link in the description for the source code. It's on my Git server, but it's also on crates.io. So what you can do is, if you have cargo installed and your cargo path configured, you can just do a cargo install Polydoro and it will install Polydoro. So it took like 44 seconds to install, which is nice. So now we can do which Polydoro and it's cargo/bin. So you have to add this to paths. If you have cargo setup, you probably have this, I guess. So you can see that I already have a Polydoro widget in my polybar. So we're gonna open our polybar config file, and I have a split config. Don't get confused, guys. It's just in my config.ini I have imported all these files. So in my modules.ini I have this module/polydoro. So you can just find this over at the readme file right here. So you can just copy and paste this. It's in both of these places. And I added this on my own. So you only need these 3 lines. So the command actually is polydoro-l. So I'm just gonna explain what this is. So in your X profile, you have to add something like polydoro-d. You can add this wherever you want. I'm doing this in X profile, so it starts up automatically. So what this does is, the polydoro-d command, if we look at the help, the -d flag just starts the daemon. So you can only have one daemon, not 0, not 2. So the daemon is actually the clock that is controlling everything, and you can have listeners, and you also have a command line app that you can use to control the clock. We can just do a kill all polydoro, and then we can start it again. Polydoro-d. But it says this socket already exists. If you started a daemon and it got killed for some reason, you need to delete these files. This is polydoro cmd.sock and polydoro-d.sock. You need to manually delete these files if anything wrong happens. So we're just gonna do a polydoro-d, and in our polybar we have this polydoro-l. So I'm just gonna restart my polybar. So here you can see this is our module. So you can have as many listeners as you want. So if even in the terminal I do a polydoro-l, so it's just giving the output of our daemon. So you can have as many as you want, and if you have 2 bars, then you can have the same output on both of the bars. That is why the daemon is actually pretty cool. So we're gonna close this. Now you have a bunch of commands. You can do a polydoro run, and what this does is it starts the clock. So it's working and it's the first task, and this is the timer. You can also pause it. So it's paused, and you can also resume it by the same command, polydoro run. Wait a second. Polydoro run. So it's working, right? And you can also do polydoro toggle. So this is supposed to be used with a bar, right? So the thing is that I have a polydoro toggle command, because run and pause, these are 2 different things, but in polybar you don't have much room for many actions. So what I did is I added a toggle command. So it will just pause and play, or pause and resume the timer conditionally. And there are also a bunch of other options. There is skip. So what polydoro skip does is it just skips to the next timer. So it started the break right now. If we skip this again, it's at work number 2. So It's also keeping track of how many cycles you have covered. And by the way, you cannot skip a timer that's not running. It needs to be unpaused before you can skip it. So if I run this command, it does nothing. And there is also Polydoro reset. There is soft reset and there is hard reset. What a soft reset does is it just goes to the starting of this current cycle. Like if I run it, then I do a soft reset, then it just went to work number 2 again. And let's run this again. Then we have hard reset. What hard reset does is it just jumps to the start of the first timer. Okay, so this resets literally everything. So we have a reset command. Again, for polybar we don't have much room for many commands, so if I do a Polydoro run and maybe a Polydoro skip, so we are on break number 1 right now. So if I do a Polydoro run and then Polydoro reset, it went to this, it did a soft reset initially. It just went to the start of this cycle. But if I run this again, it did a hard reset this time. So it's like it's one command to do it all. If a soft reset is applicable, then it will do a soft reset. If you cannot do a soft reset, like it was already at the beginning of the timer, it will just do a hard reset. So you can just double click to get a hard reset. So these were all the basic commands, and we also have a notification system in this. So we can do notify, Polydoro notify. I keep making mistakes on camera. So you can see notifications have been turned on. I keep making mistakes. So now we can see in the modules.ini, I just added Polydoro toggle, Polydoro skip, and Polydoro reset as commands. So if I click on this, it will start the timer or pause the timer. And if I right click, it will reset the timer. So we can see the notifications too. If I click on it, the timer has been started, then pause the timer, then unpause the timer. So it gives you notifications, and you can turn this off. And you can also do a reset, current timer has been reset. And if I do it again, it will just say all timers have been reset. That essentially did a hard reset, but it was already at the initial state, so you don't really see anything, but it did do a hard reset. So these were all the basic commands you can do. This was the basic usage, and the only things you need is these lines right here, and these are all optional in Polybar. We can configure the output that is given by the listener, and the good thing is you can set different formatting for each listener. So if you have 2 bars and you want different formatting on each bar, you can technically do that. So we also have daemon configuration. With the daemon, what you really do is you pass the arguments through environment variables, you pass the config. So you have like these 3 options. So what are these? Work duration is like your work timer's length, right? It's 25 minutes by default, and then your break duration and stuff. So let's see how this works. So we can do work duration equals, this is in seconds, so we can do 1200 polydoro-d. Actually, we have to remove these files. Then if I start a timer, it starts at 1959, so it's a 20-minute long timer. You can set these values yourself. And again, if I do there's also a long break interval. You can see the documentation for this. Long break interval, by default it's 4. Let's set it to 2. So let's see what this does. So right now it's working. Again, it's at 20 minutes. I did a Polydoro skip. Let's start this again, then do a Polydoro skip. Then this is the second work cycle, so long break interval is at 2. So if I skip now, it goes to a long break. So by default it's 4, so every 4th break is a long break. But now with this long break interval, every second break becomes a long break. So these are all the options you have. You have break duration. You can pretty much change everything. Then here's this notify thing. So let's see. Let's remove all this, and we have notify equals true. Actually, you gotta remove this. So notify equals to true. So by default, notifications are turned off, and you can run a command Polydoro notify to turn the notifications on. But you can also use this environment variable to set notifications to turn on by default. So now notifications are turned on. What you can do is you can turn it off with this command. So notifications have been turned off. Now it won't notify, and now it will. So you have this command to toggle notifications anytime, but if you want them to be turned on by default, then you need this environment variable. So this was all the daemon config. Let's move on to the most anticipated part, basically, which is the listener configuration, right? So we're gonna just kill our daemon and turn off the notifications for now. Okay, and let's close these. So how do you format your listener? So the formatting is actually pretty great in this. You can do a lot of things. So what I've done in this is, let's just copy this. So it looks ugly. Let me show. I will first show what is possible, then we will move on to how to do that. So this is what my Polydoro config looks like. So we have task 1, and when I click on it, it starts the timer and changes the color too. You can also do a background color change, but I just went with this because I like this. And so each task is like this teal color, and I can do a Polydoro skip. Like we can wait for the timer to end, but obviously I'm not gonna do that. So with a break, it's blue color, and we can skip this too. And let's get to the task number 4. So we can start this, and now the long break is green because obviously it's green because we love long break, and so on. So if you pause this, then it just goes to long break. And if I pause this, wait a second, then it shows this pause icon, and it also shows that this is task number 1. If you want it to show the task number here, you can do that, but I just want to see the task number when it's paused. So these things are possible. So how do we do that? So we have these environment variables: format, work, idle, and paused. So what is idle and paused? Work is like when the timer is ticking, paused is when it's paused, and idle is when it's not started. The clock is at like whatever the time limit is. And you have these two variables right here. Let me show a new listener right now. So we can just do a Polydoro -L, and it will just print with the default formatting, right? We can do a format work equals. So now it's not printing anything because the format is empty. We can do a variable counter. By the way, you can only use one variable once in each format, and you can do time. So time is like time remaining in minutes and seconds. So we can do this work and the time remaining. So this is how you can format it. And what I've done is I used these nerd fonts to show this tomato. And with Polybar, you can have this formatting. I'll just link to the Polybar documentation or something. But you can use percentage and these curly braces, and then F, then this hex code changes the font color, and this will reset the font color to whatever Polybar wants it to be. And you can also do B. Let's just change the background here, and B dash means set the default background color, and let's see what happens. So I'm just gonna start my Polybar, restart my Polybar, and actually we edited the format break idle, so let's skip. So yeah, we can see right here it changed the background color. You can do these kind of things with Polydoro, and it's pretty cool honestly. But I'm just gonna where was it? I'm just gonna set it to -F because I only want the font color changed. But with Polybar you can do this. It's not related to Polydoro, it's just Polybar config, so you can look. I think this was all you can do with Polydoro. But yeah, the coolest thing about Polydoro is that you can just set window manager key bindings, right? So we can just open our Xmonet config, and I also have a split config, so let's do this. Wait a second. I know Haskell looks scary, so let's see. I'm just gonna use this key, the pause key. So I'm just gonna do spawn Polydoro toggle. So what I did right here is I added Polydoro toggle as the pause key in my window manager config. So I can just set the pause key, and it unpauses and pauses my timer. So the coolest thing about Polydoro is that it's not limited to just Polybar. You can use it with lemon bar and stuff, and you can have window manager key bindings or just shell commands to control it. And it also supports notifications, and it's written in Rust. So it's safe to say that this is the coolest Pomodoro timer for your minimal Arch Linux setup. It's really extensible. You can have multiple listeners, you can have different formatting for each listener, you can have key bindings for it, you can control it with shell commands, you can have it in Polybar, lemon bar, probably Xmo bar too. So yeah, this is the coolest stuff ever. So please try it out, and if you do check out Polydoro, let me know. You can comment on this video, or you can send me an email. You can just go to vidukant.com, and here's my contact info. Don't break these rules. Just don't break these rules, or I will be angry. And yeah, so let me know, because hearing from people makes me happy. And yeah, if you want to check out the code, it's right here on my Git server, and link is in the description. Bye bye.